have my top 10 criteria for creating the greatest, bleakest, darkest, most heart-wrenching Black moment that you can for your novel. Now, the old saying is if you have a great beginning, that sells your book, but if you have a great ending, that's what sells your next book. And when they say a great ending, they're specifically referring to the Black moment. It's kind of that moment where everything that has been building up, everything your reader has gone through is finally going to pay off in that Black moment. It is that sort of gut-wrenching feeling where you're like, this is pointless. I can't imagine how they're ever going to make it out of this situation. And when they say you need to torture your characters, this is like the primo torture moment. So this is the one where everyone can't wait to see how they triumph and how they get out of it. So today I have a checklist for you of those 10 items. You can download that below, but let's go through all of those together. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to my Cozy Mystery AuthorTube channel, where we talk about all things related to cozy mysteries and the author writing life. So if this sounds like you or something you might be interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. I post new videos every Monday and I do extra videos all the time, so make sure to hit the bell so you get notifications when new videos go live. Now, if you've been following me like anywhere on this channel or the other one, you'll know that I really haven't written anything since last summer, and for 2020 I have a new habit of write every day. And so part of my write every day habit is, one, I kind of forgot how to write because I haven't been doing it for a while. So I do spend a lot of that time actually just doing research and revisiting like craft books on how to write, because I kind of forgot a lot of the principles. And when you don't do it every day, I really think that you get out of sort of training your brain on what to think about and having it actively working subconsciously behind the scenes on your story. So my whole point is that I dug up a bunch of old notes, I read a ton of articles, and this is my list of like the top 10 things. There are many other things that I think really make a good Black moment. So let's go through them. The first one is you really need, and I do have notes I'm looking at, is you really need to write it first. And the reason I say you need to write it first is because up until this point, we're like at the end of January, I've been plotting all month. And when I got to my Black moment, to be quite honest, it was crazy boring. Like, it was so lame. I was like, there's really nothing great here. It's a mystery, and basically it's kind of cliche and it's not really exciting. Like, I could even feel that even though I haven't started writing it, just the plot. So I went back and I was looking at different ways to create a Black moment, and everyone kind of came to the same consensus that you should really write your Black moment like in the beginning and then plot the rest of it. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to start building in throughout the book all the things that help lead up to that Black moment, and those kind of help frame the way that you do your character arcs and their archetypes and the fears and the internal goals and everything else that you give them, so that it all kind of culminates and comes together in that Black moment. The second thing is that you really want to build in those fears from the beginning. So the thing is, like, let's say there is something small that you just kind of pops up later. So in the Indiana Jones movies, I don't know if anyone is old enough to remember those, but he was afraid of snakes. And so he's this swashbuckling, archaeologist that travels all over the world, but he is afraid of snakes. So they built that into the beginning. So then later during the Black moment, when snakes come out, it wasn't like a big surprise, or he didn't have to announce to everybody, oh, it's a snake, I'm afraid of those, right? So you kind of knew, and it was building up as you went along in the story. The third thing is you need to make a dilemma. So a dilemma, like a moral dilemma. So for example, let's say you have an assassin, and he is a retired assassin who is, I don't know, had an epiphany, and he wants to lead a new life of goodness, and he wants to help people, and he starts building schools over in third world countries or something, and there is a friend in trouble or somebody who needs help. Maybe there's a child that's been kidnapped. And in order to get him back from the kidnappers demand that he assassinate someone. So this is a moral dilemma. Does he kill somebody else in order to save a child? And that's like, I mean, it doesn't matter what the answer is. That's the situation that you want to set up, which goes to number 4, which is really creating a like heart-wrenching decision that the hero or heroine needs to make. So in Matrix 2, not 1, but the second Matrix, Neo had to decide at the end when he met with the architect on whether or not to save all of humanity or to save just one person, which was Trinity. And so that was a moral dilemma, and you were like, oh my God, what is he going to do? And it, like, everything had been leading up to that with their romance and who he was and how he was different. So that was a really good decision, black moment for him. Number 5 is making sure that it is believable and there are no surprises. So in mine, as I was brainstorming, I was like, well, I could stick this in there, but that was totally unbelievable. And it was like not plausible at all for the story and the plot and the setting and everything else. So that's another reason why you want to write your black moment like in the beginning, so that you can build in things to make it more believable. Like anything can be believable, right? Like someone with X-ray vision or flying up, like superpowers or something else, as long as you build that in and lead up to it from the beginning of the book. The 6th thing, am I on number 6? Yeah, I'm on number 6. The 6th thing is making sure that you tie into your genre's black moment. So for example, in romance, I knew for sure the black moment is always when they break up. Like, not when they break up, but when there's like no hope that they will ever in a million years possibly get back together. So that is that black moment. In a mystery, the black moment is when the killer is discovered, you know who it is, but they're about to get away with it. And like the injustice of the whole situation, that's the mystery black moment. So these are the points, like these are for those two genres, but you might want to explore, you know, if you're writing a thriller or if you're writing a Christian romance, or I guess romance would still be the same, or a, what other genres are there out there? Any other genres? I don't know. Whenever I start talking a lot, sometimes my brain just stops working. But whatever genre you're working in or subgenre, whatever the specificity is, sci-fi or whatever, you want to make sure you have the same type of black moment, because that's what your audience is expecting. And don't feel like it's cliche or it's what everyone does. I mean, that's the whole reason that they read or picked up that particular genre of fiction, is because that's what they think is going to be coming. Number 7 is a physical flaw. So, you know, all the flaws don't have to just be emotional or psychological. It could just be a physical thing. Like maybe your hero is colorblind, which actually, I shouldn't say a lot, but I think like 10% of men are colorblind. And in the black moment, there is a decision or somebody he has to save, and it's reliant upon him being able to see color, right? Like she's wearing the spy will be wearing red, and make sure that's your only contact or something like that. Obviously that was contrived, but you can think of a better black moment for that. It could be a physical flaw, like maybe they injured themselves in the scene before or a couple scenes earlier, and they are recovering and they're in a wheelchair because their leg is broken or something, and they really need to do something physical. So that is like something that's going to make that black moment even blacker. Number 8 is the all is lost. So you really want to make sure all is lost. Like if you have a superhero, make sure there's kryptonite around, right? If it's like a Superman. If they have a gun, it should be out of bullets. If they have a cell phone, it should be dead, or they should have no signal, or it should be broken. If they have a car, it should be missing, right? So you want to make sure any resources possible that they could have are missing, are gone. And again, you want it to be believable, because most of the time, I think what a lot of people complain about in thrillers or even suspense is that they'll say, well, you could have just solved that all by picking up your cell phone and calling 911. So you have to make it a situation where that technology is not available and they cannot do an easy, let me just call the police sort of solution. Number 9 is you need to relate it back to your book's theme. So whatever your black moment is, you know, if your theme is about, betrayal. So if it's about betrayal, maybe the black moment is, you know, he needs to really trust his friends, or his partner or somebody else, but he feels like they betrayed him. And so that makes it even more of a dark moment because all of his friends that he normally had to rely on, he can't rely on them because he thinks they betrayed them, whether it's because someone told him a lie or because of the way he's able to see the situation. And number 10 is you should not have a solution. So sometimes, and I'm super guilty of this, whenever I start thinking about my black moment, I think, okay, well, whatever that problem is, how would I solve it? And I immediately start thinking like, oh, I don't know how to solve that. So I'm not going to make that the black moment because I don't know how to get out of it. And the thing is, if you can think of the solution right away, then probably your black moment is not that bleak and black. So make sure that it is so impossible that it's going to take you some time to figure out how is he going to get out of this, whether it is a suspense like in, they do this a lot if you're trying to think of this in Mission Impossible movies, where Tom Cruise is in some impossible situation. He's underwater in a tank. There's no escape. It's locked from the outside. He's going to die, but somehow he makes it out. So if you are looking for sort of that like really tough black moment, how did they figure it out? I would watch some more suspense movies, especially the Tom Cruise one. So that's just suggestions, but for sure, if you are thinking like me, like of solutions before you even like fully form what that black moment problem is, then probably your black moment is too like boring and it's not really going to have a good payout. So worry about that later, worry about coming up with solutions, ask friends, ask other people, you're going to figure a way out of that. So those are my top 10 criteria for creating a really good black moment. So let's go through those once more. The first one is make sure you write the black moment at the end, at the beginning. Said that totally backwards. At the beginning, not at the end when you're doing your plotting or writing. The second one is to build in all of those fears that come up into the beginning of the novel and drop them in so they're not a surprise for later. The third one is to make sure there's some sort of moral dilemma. The fourth one is to make them have to make a really heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching decision. The fifth one is to make sure it is believable and plausible by building things in up ahead of time, either into the storyline, to the plot, to the characters, to the setting, whatever you need to do. Number 6 is make sure you satisfy whatever is expected in your genre's black moments. And then number 7 is maybe to give them a physical flaw as well. Number 8 is to make sure that all is really lost, like take away all of their resources, the cell phone, the car, the gun, superpowers, whatever it is. And number 9 is to relate it back to your theme. And number 10 is to make sure you can't think of any possible solution at this point, because if you can, your black moment is not black enough. All right, I hope that was helpful. Make sure to download that cheat sheet below, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.